Hey, get inspired, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Life Inspired. This is a program all about how and why people are following God and some very inspiring things He's doing in people's lives. It's all just exciting. He loves us and He has wonderful plans for each one of us, right? So you can watch this program and share this program from several different venues. We are on YouTube. Please subscribe to our channel because that helps get more viewers to hear these great stories about God, or from our Facebook page. If you can like our Facebook page and share from there, that's another way that people can hear about the good news of Jesus. And then also you can go to lifeinspiredshow.com. We are still recording these ahead of time in virtual world because of quarantine. So things are lifting up around us, but it was safer for everybody to go ahead and stay long distance. So I'm here in the TJ21 studios with TJ, and he's in the background making things work for us. And we have our very special guests today, Dave and Sara Brodziski. I hope I said your guys' name right. And they're actually local in Granger, but you're on Zoom, aren't you?
Yes.
Yeah, it's great to be with you.
Thank you.
And so, thank you. So y'all are just at your home, right? You're just in your home right now?
Yes, we are.
Awesome. Very cool. So everybody that's new to the show may not know that we pretty much kind of are going to ask the same questions in every program. Life was going along and there was some kind of turning point where God stepped in and did something. So we call it a ... moment because it's kind of like ... or whatever. And then God did something, and now He's got you doing something that He inspired you to do. And so we would love to hear a little backstory of yours before this turning point in your world. I'm sure there's several, but the one that you want to talk about today.
Sure. So for both of us, it was kind of a health emergency type of situation. With Dave, it was his eyesight. And I'll let him talk about that. But for me, in 2006, I became critically ill very, very quickly and was in the hospital, which lasted over a 2 or 3 month period of them trying to figure out what was wrong. But I was going septic, organs shutting down, and turned into about a 2.5 year illness, traveling to Chicago and the Cleveland Clinic to finally get this resolved. And so the ironic part is just as this was finishing up and God was finally healing me for good from what was going on, we had a big opportunity in our lives, and really believe that in a strange way, I felt like during that whole 2.5 years that God was preparing me for something. He was strengthening me to do something big, and I just was never able to shake that feeling, but just not knowing what it was going to be. And then it was presented to us. But I'll let Dave speak about his vision a little bit too, because we both kind of reached that point at the same time.
Yeah. So from my side of things,
exciting. Okay.
Yeah, from my side of things, Diane, I've had eye issues all my life. I was born premature, and they didn't cover my eyes in the incubator, so the oxygen ate up my retina. So I was blind in my right eye pretty much since birth. And all of a sudden in the 2000s, I started to get some glaucoma. And so the pressure started to affect my vision. And the pressure in the eye needed to be surgically corrected at times. And unfortunately, as I went through the most blessing of a time in the mid-2000s where I had a surgery that corrected everything so well, I actually had the clearest vision ever. And then just 4.5 years later, I ended up losing that vision out of my good eye and becoming legally blind in 2009. So that was a year for me that really was that ... moment, that time that God just started to talk to me and really pull me in a different direction. I had just lost my job in 2009 in the business world, and I felt totally at peace though with that. I called Sara after it happened, and I said, I'm really at peace with this. I don't know why. I think God is trying to tell me something and pull me a different direction. And not 2 months later, a pastor at our local church actually invited me to come on staff. and start helping lead our children's ministry and eventually the outreach and education for the church. And it was just a wonderful moment that God just did a U-turn for me and totally yanked me in a different direction. And that was wonderful. Fears were kind of overcome at that time. Even though I was dealing with a loss of sight, new opportunities were kind of hitting me. And for us as a family, that 2009 was just a huge year. I lost my job, got a new job at the church, was losing my vision. But in October of 2009, everything just took a huge leap of faith for us. And I'll let Sara kind of go into that.
So yeah, I
wow.
was able to finally get well by May of 2009. He became legally blind in September, and then in October, we had been thinking about adoption. We have a 21-year-old son, Tyler, but we hadn't been able to have another one. And then with my illness, it just kind of made it, not a possibility. But in October of 2009, we found out about a little girl named Fiona in Uganda. And I can tell you, when I found out about it, I didn't even know right away where Uganda was. I had to look it up. And another family in our church was adopting a girl from Uganda, and they found out about Fiona through that. And my friend Rochelle said, I got to talk to you. Every time I pray about this, I see your faces. And I think you're supposed to really pray about this and consider this. And I would say by the time that night was over, we already knew in our hearts that is what God had planned for us. And within a couple of weeks, we made the definite
And
decision.
you were never thinking about.
No.
We wanted to adopt locally. We wanted a baby. We had all these rules, parameters set in our minds of how we saw this happening. And then God put in front of us this little almost 5-year-old little girl in Uganda. And as soon as we saw her picture, we knew she was ours. So it totally flipped that upside down.
Yeah, our life was sort of in a box. We had this nice, safe box, working and volunteering at the church, doing things, just our normal life. And we thought we were in control. And God just flipped us on the other side, just flipped it. And, I remember a work I did for the church was a survey about fear. And what everybody at our church in serving was their biggest fear. And I remember my answer for that survey, and this was earlier in 2009 when I just started to work for the church. I put down that an international mission trip was my biggest fear. And Sara had never traveled internationally.
Mm-hmm.
So
I didn't want to either.
No. So when God laid this new path for us, this great opportunity and a blessing of this child that we could adopt in Africa, in Uganda, it just was an amazing, just light moment. The light bulb went off and our hearts were changed. And it was just one of those moments that you just will always remember the exact moment that it happened.
Right. So then when did she come? Fiona came to you in the fall of 2009, or how long did it take to get her?
Yeah, so it took about 18 months from that point. From the day we found out about her, it was about a 1.5-year process to work through the home study, get all that completed, make the trip for court, and go back for the visa and everything. So yeah, it was about an 18-month process. But the neat thing is both of us were able to spend quite a bit of time in Uganda throughout that process. And as soon as God took us to Uganda, we weren't in Uganda that whole time. I traveled back and forth, but we did get to spend several weeks there. And as soon as we were in Uganda, I really felt God telling us, you're here to adopt Fiona, but I have you here for more reasons than just this. And
can you share?
So we have started a not-for-profit since adopting Fiona. She came home in May of 2011 to be with us. And a couple of years later, we started a not-for-profit called Kuyamba Ministries. And so we are a few years later now, going annually back to Uganda to serve in the mission field.
Wow.
Yeah, we have
But
have
your
a group
greatest
of you.
fear is to be on the mission field, right?
Yep.
Yes.
So that's where he's going to take us.
So we've been involved.
Okay.
We really got to know quite a few people over there during the adoption process, and really they became family to us. And so all these Ugandan people we love now are part of our ministry and volunteering as leaders for us in Uganda. So we have over 30 or 40
Wow.
leader volunteers throughout Uganda in 26 different villages now. And it's just such a wonderful thing to see our team go every weekend in Uganda on mission to remote villages to help out. So our ministry supplies
Wow.
things like hygiene, vitamins for kids, clothing, food, medical, first aid, and spiritual guidance. And we're able to go in every weekend over there and go into remote villages that we're
Wow.
partnered with and help out every way we can.
Yeah. And those items
Wow.
that we provide are really to open the door into people's lives so that we can have conversation with them about
Sure.
Jesus. And so we use that as our tool to build, open those relationships.
Sure.
Yeah.
Has COVID-19 caused any issues with the ministry?
So it's we've been fortunate. We've had some great donors lately that have been able to help, but Uganda is on lockdown and they have been for several weeks. And this has caused just a tremendous amount of hardship there because they already have very, challenging access to food. And it's made it even more difficult because they have curfews set in place and getting out of their homes. There's no, travel on the roads. And then one of the villages that we serve has been flooded. They're in a low land area. And so for weeks now, they've had water that's waist deep. But our team has been able they've rented a couple of boats on 2 or 3 occasions now and delivered food into the people in the village, the ones that didn't have any other place to go. And so these people have created like little scaffolding areas in their homes to raise themselves up above the water.
Awesome.
And then our team has gone in and provided food. And we've done that in a few other villages, but those have not been flooded, been a little bit easier to access. But it's a very, very challenging time in Uganda right now.
Right. Wow. Well, we know definitely some ways to pray then. So
Yes.
are there any specific things, like we've got lots of viewers, so maybe some might want to be donors for you, maybe some would be prayer partners, maybe some would want to take mission trips. We'll put the links to you have the website or just the Facebook page?
We have both.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, we have the we have the ministry site.
Yep. So we'll put the links in here so they can follow to those, and we can get some ways to pray for you guys. And I know you would have coffee if somebody wanted to ask you questions about maybe even just about adoption in general.
We would love to meet
Yeah,
with anyone
awesome.
interested.
Absolutely.
That's awesome. Very cool.
Yeah, we love to talk about
Very
the people
cool.
in Uganda. So
We've had great opportunities in fundraising. We actually do have something to pray about a benefit concert that we'll have eventually later this summer at Bethel University, and we'll be having some good Christian bands there play for us, and that's going to be on our website and Facebook as well, and tickets are already available.
Great. Awesome. Glad to hear about that. We'll spread the word for sure.
Okay.
So great. And so one last little question for either or both of you. How do you stay connected? How do you stay inspired? How do you make sure that the mission is not your mission, but it's still God's mission? How do you make sure that you're still just letting God do it, because we aren't in control?
Yeah, and I think that we probably balance each other out pretty well, because he's kind of a full steam ahead kind of mindset, and I'm a little bit more reserved and just waiting for God to show us the doors that are going to be opened. And really we found that in his time he allows those doors to open right when they're supposed to open. He gives us those connections right when we need them, and that we really need to take a step back from making up our own timeline and just letting him be in control.
Yeah, and I think for me, it's that daily prayer life as well. Really studying His Word. Being blind, it's a little tougher. I have to use some, software to read to me and things like that. But it's been such a blessing that God's shown me ways to still be in ministry, even though I'm blind, and be able to get to Uganda, be able to study His Word still, be in prayer about everything that's going on and how He's just helping us be the hands and feet of Jesus into a lost and broken world that's hurting and really needing people to serve and help them.
Amen. 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 All right. And tell me one more time the website address. What's the website address?
Sure. It's QuiambaMinistries.com.
Got it. Awesome. Thank you guys for sharing. Thank you guys for watching and sharing this video, whether you do the YouTube or the Facebook or the InspiredHomesShow.com. Thank you so much. You guys have a great week, and you guys have a great week. Bye-bye.